Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the flagship show. This is Russell Wortham coming to you live from, well, it's been rainy today, folks, but on top of that, beautiful Tucson, Arizona, a stone's throw away from the University of Arizona, and in the shadow of the Grand Canyon. Folks, we're packing back metal greatness. This is the Russell Wortham Show, and we've got a lot to talk about. Few quick bits of, I guess, housekeeping. First of all, I will not be back until 2 weeks from now. Why is that? Well, because this next week I will be having my wisdom teeth taken out. That's not gonna be fun. So not gonna be fun. But I'm gonna have my wisdom teeth taken out, and so I will not be probably feeling like doing a show this next week. So there's that. Also, since I've been gone, we've lost a lot of people. We're going to talk about one Raft Top, and then when we get to WWE, we'll get to two that we've lost just this week. It's really, really sad. But we're going to first talk just a bit about Stan Lee. Stan Lee is a comic god. I mean, there is no other two ways about it. Um, I understand that there are people, especially people like Bill Maher, who normally I agree with Bill Maher on most things, but this was kind of one of those "what are you talking about" scenarios. Uh, I didn't read the whole thing, but essentially, if I got the gist of what Bill Maher was saying when Stan Lee died, he was saying, "Oh my gosh, you guys are lazy. Comic books are mind dribbling, and they are the ruin of our society, and you nerds are just ill informed." And then when there was this backlash to what he said, and combination with all of the tributes to Stanley, then Bill Maher came off, with both arms raised triumphantly, like, "See, I told you I was right about this." And I'm thinking, Bill, again, I like you, I respect you. You're one of the people that actually gets where we are in this country. But if you're going to go out of your way to just bash a guy who created so much good stuff in the world, I mean, you look at Spider Man, you look at Fantastic Four, you look at X Men, those, Silver Surfer, I mean, those were seminal comics and characters, especially X Men, because as a person who has a disability, I looked at X Men like, you know what? They don't have inherent. I mean, there was no, like, radiation poisoning. There was no freak accident. There was no. No, it was just you have um, a genetic mutation that gave you your abilities, your powers. And it really just made me think, oh my gosh, I'm not alone in the world. And it really made me just think, okay, this is really cool. But I guess to each their own. I don't understand why some people, like Bill Maher, were going after Stan Lee like they did. Um, I don't get it. Now, if you don't like comic books, that's fine. That's completely fine. But there are so many other things in this world that are way worse than comic books. That's just how I look at it. So if you weren't a comics fan, that's fine. I'm okay with that. I'm cool. I'm good. But for those people like myself who are comic book fans, I've got friends who are comic book fans too. You know, don't knock our, I guess, belief in comic books just because you don't like them. It's silly. But anyway, so there's that. All right. So this, well, first of all, hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. I ate way too much as per usual, so that was a great thing. But to see family and the whole bit during my short hiatus, I was trying to keep away from Donald Trump and from all the garbage that's going around. Eh, so much for that. Since my last show, Donald Trump has come out and he said, essentially, I do not believe my intelligence community. I do not believe the CIA. I do not want to believe that Mohammed bin Salman, Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, had anything to do with Jamal Khashoggi's death. Business as usual. And it's interesting that you've got people like Lindsey Graham, who, if you've watched the show, if you've listened to my podcast, you know I have really no love for Lindsey Graham. None. Why? Any number of reasons. But when Lindsey Graham comes out and he says, "Yeah, this happened. This is making America look stupid. The president's wrong. He's dead wrong on this," and I'm like, "Ooh, ooh, that's my bit of a bridge that you built there for yourself there, Lindsay." But he does have a point that we have people that have risked their lives to gather this intelligence, to make this assessment. Now, to be fair to Donald Trump, yes, the CIA can make their best assessment. Okay, they don't make any hard conclusions. They just make their best assessment. But that's the problem, is that the CIA came out and said, we have a high degree of confidence that Mohammed bin Salman ordered the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, and yet there was no repercussions. The president didn't want to do anything about it. Mike Pompeo, the Secretary of State, didn't want to do anything about it. General James Mattis, Mad Dog Mattis, whom I respect a ton for his service and all of that, but as the Secretary of Defense, he didn't want to do anything about it. Gina Haspel, who is the CIA director, I mean, she was pretty much shut out of the first meeting, and that's what I think really angered a lot of members of Congress, was that they couldn't get the State Department, the Defense Department, and the CIA all in the same room at the same time. She did come back out. Gina Haspel did come back and brief Congress this week. But it was very clear, it was abundantly clear that Congress wasn't buying what Trump was trying to sell. So there was that. And then this week, we also saw the death and the memorials um, of one of the people that I honestly do respect, that I, as a former Republican, had great admiration for, and that was George H.W. Bush. Now, with that said, let's not make this guy be a complete saint, because back when he was the president, this was the early 90s, this was the start of the environmentalist era. I remember as a kid, okay, I remember as a kid writing an impassioned letter to President Bush and saying, we need to protect the environment. This is important. We have the responsibility as human beings to take care of our planet. And when he went down to Rio de Janeiro for the first of its kind conference on the environment, I remember, I mean, like it was yesterday, I remember him walking through the rainforests and oohing and awing and stuff, and then there was nothing done. There was nothing done. And so you go to the Kyoto Protocol with his son, George W. Bush. Again, nothing got done. The United States didn't want to sign the darn thing. They they just didn't. Fast forward to Paris with the climate change treaty. And again, the United States wanted to, uh, well, Barack Obama, I think, wanted to do something, but it was the Republicans who said, nope, sorry, not doing this. Now, I'm thinking to myself, why? Why are the Republicans so adamant about not doing anything about the environment? Money. That's pretty much it. It's money. But, who knows? I mean, I could be wrong. I could be dead wrong. So, George H.W. Bush didn't exactly do great things with the environment. Okay, so what was the second thing that he struggled with? He struggled with the HIV slash AIDS epidemic. He George Bush was very slow in providing funding and treatment options. He basically treated him like it was like this great scourge, that it was the leprosy of the 20th century. You don't touch them, you don't interact with them, you don't, you don't even go around people with HIV. It was really sad, um, you know. But his record on HIV and AIDS was just not stellar, like at all. And then finally, it was the LGBTQ society that, again, maybe it was his upbringing, maybe it was his sense of, I don't know. I don't know what it was, but again, it was one of those hands off, you don't touch these people, you don't interact with them, they're dirty, which I, for the record, okay, that is not what I'm saying. That's kind of what George W. Sorry, George H.W. Bush. There we go. George H.W. Bush was saying, and to me, I'm like, okay, well, if that's your belief and your belief system, we got a problem here. But that's kind of how that went. So, but beyond that, you know, minus those things, okay, George H.W. Bush was a war hero. He did leave a legacy of service and service before self and country before self that, frankly, no matter what anybody says, I watched that memorial at the National Cathedral, and no matter what anybody else says, those eulogies were pointed square at Donald Trump. Just absolutely square. I mean, they were looking at him just dead in the eyes and saying, hey, country before self. But that obviously didn't penetrate into Trump, so okay. Anyway, so but it was a really, really amazing thing. Look, I don't like funerals, um, but because of what he did for the country, what Bush did for the country, and all of that, I thought to myself, well, you know what? I've got to watch this. I've got to pay my respects. You know, and eulogies were great. George W. Bush's eulogy. Okay, if you saw it, you know what I'm talking about. It was fabulous. It was amazing. And again, regardless of what you think about George W. Bush's policies or his politics or ideology or whatever, it was a son who, before the entire world, had to eulogize his dad. And there was this pragmatic approach of, keep it together. And then I'm so glad, and I know this is going to sound weird, but I'm so glad that George W. Bush broke down because that humanized him. That humanized the moment. I'm not saying he wasn't a humanistic person. I'm saying that in that moment, that humanized Bush. And when he walked off, the stage, podium, and all that, and he sat back down alongside Laura. I was like, give that man a hug. I mean, and it was really touching how, I mean, he patted um, the casket, and it was just really, it was a really lovely event. I didn't see I didn't see really much of the local uh, service in Houston. But I did see James Baker, bit of James Baker when he eulogized Bush, and I mean he broke down. I mean it was just like, yeah, and I get it because they were super super close. Um, so yeah, again, policy be danged in this situation. Um, just from a human perspective, we lost a good man. We lost a man who really believed fully in the goodness of this country. Um, so yeah, that was really sad. The other thing that we've been sloshing through is the situation with more investigation, and I mean it's, yeah, not. I'm not saying not much has happened. A lot has happened, but it's you know Now Robert Mueller is trying to, submit, more documents out into the ether as it were, and so we'll see what happens with that. Now, one thing that I just thought about that I may have mentioned my last show, and if I haven't, I'll just briefly mention this. I understand the need for border security. In fact, I'm not one of these people that says that there should be open borders. I think you should have defined, ports of entry and all that. I believe that you should have, everything orderly and all that. But and I understand that people were bum rushing the border security people. That should not have happened. But to use um, to use tear gas against children, come on, that's garbage. Anyway, so that's the news part. All right. So very quickly, let's go to WWE. We'll just briefly go over War Games, and then uh, we'll go into War Games. We'll go into Survivor Series, and then very briefly on sports. All right, so you had two dark matches. You had Keith Lee, who is one of the biggest signees in NXT history. He beats Fidel Bravo. I don't know who he is. I have heard of Keith Lee. Lars Sullivan beat Kaeda Murray, also in a dark match, and then Nikki Cross defeated Candice LeRae. So those were dark matches. This was a bonus match that was really incredible. It was Matt Riddle beating Cassius Ohno in 6 seconds. Oh my gosh! It was a knee strike, 1, 2, 3. But you know what? Matt Riddle, he is as advertised. It's gonna be fun to watch. Shayna Baszler versus Kairi Sane, beating her 2 falls to 1. Oh my gosh, that was an epic match. It was back and forth. These two can wrestle for as long as they want against each other. That's all I know. That's all I know. That's all I care about. Uh, Aleister Black being Johnny Gargano. That was a brutal, brutal match. Johnny Gargano, yes, he is more of a heel now, more of a bad guy, but he still was taking quite a beating from Aleister Black. If you saw the match, you know what I'm talking about. The match ended on 2 Black Mass spinning heel kicks. I mean, they were just ow. They were brutal to watch. Uh, Tommaso Ciampa, the NXT champion, defeating Velveteen Dream. Hey, Dream is money. The guy is like 23. So he's got tons of time. And he puts on consistently the best matches in NXT. It's just that simple. Finally, you had Pete Dunne, Ricochet, and the War Raiders defeating the Undisputed Era inside of War Games. That was, oh. And I don't mean stupid bad, I mean stupid awesome. That was stupid. That whole thing was just stupid. It was just absolutely incredible. All right. Quickly going to Survivor Series. You had pre-show Team SmackDown with all the tag teams defeating Team Raw. I didn't see that match, but I heard it was a really good match. To open up show, you had Mickey James, Nia Jax, Tamina Bailey, and Sasha Banks, with Alexa Bliss beating Team SmackDown. So Naomi, Carmella, Sonya Deville, Asuka, and Mandy Rose. Asuka was threatening to be the sole survivor once again, but she ultimately was not. That was Nia Jax. That was a heck of a match. That was amazing. Um, Next up, we had Seth Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura, champion versus champion. That was incredible. It was the first match I've seen from Shinsuke Nakamura in a long time where it was a straight up match, where it wasn't like, hey, let's do a little blow. You know, it was, no, it was a really good match. I would love to see those two going after each other again. You had AOP, the Authors of Pain, beating the Bar. Sheamus and Cesaro. It was a really good match. There was some comic moments. You probably know what I'm talking about, by now with Drake Maverick. So won't get into that. But boy, it was a short match, but it was a good match. Buddy Murphy defeating Mustafa Ali. Good high flying match. Buddy Murphy is a star. The guy is a star. Um, so then you came up with Team Raw. So Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre, Braun Strowman, Finn Balor, Bobby Lashley, um, defeating Team SmackDown of Miz, Shane McMahon, Rey Mysterio, Samoa Joe, and Jeff Hardy. Again, really good, solid paced match. Um, I really think that, yeah, right, right team won the whole bit. Yeah. Um, Ronda Rousey defeats Charlotte Flair via disqualification. Ronda got the beating of a lifetime. Holy smokes! I mean, uh, she got hit with Kendo six and uh, steel chairs, and it was crazy. And then finally, Brock Lesnar beats Daniel Bryan. It was tough to watch. Bryan getting ragdolled throughout that match, but anyway. Finally, on the show, we've got sports. So let's quickly go to the NBA standings for this week. We're going to do, of course, the top four in each conference as it is right now. So, in the East, if the playoffs were to start right now, you would have Toronto still holding strong, number one seed. Milwaukee, your number two seed. Philadelphia, big surprise team this year. They're 17-9. They're your third seed. And Detroit is your number four seed. Cleveland has actually moved up slightly. They're 5-19 now, so they're third from the bottom. All right, now moving up into the West, and we've got some big shifts since last time I was here. You've got Denver at 17-7. You've got Oklahoma City at 16-7. Your number two seed. Third seed is the Clippers. And your number four seed is actually the Golden State Warriors, which is like, what? They're number four? Yeah, they're number four. And right now, the Los Angeles Lakers are actually your number five seed. They have actually gone on a crazy tear as of late. They're 15-9. I mean, LeBron's getting that team in shape, so big, huge goings on with that. Going on to the NFL, you've got a lot of teams are still jockeying for position, and some teams that are just running away with things. So, starting off in the AFC East, you've got New England. They're 9-3. Miami 6-6. The Bills are 4-8, and the New York Jets are 3-9. Now, up north, Pittsburgh Steelers 7-4-1. You got Baltimore at 7-5. You got the Cincinnati Bengals at 5-7, and the Cleveland Browns at 4-7-1. Down south, you've got Houston 9-3, Tennessee 7-6, Indianapolis 6-6, and Jacksonville they're just out of it. They're 4-9. And out here in the West, you've got the Kansas City Chiefs at 10-2, the Los Angeles Chargers 9-3, Denver at 6-6, and Oakland Raiders 2-10. They're out. Going to the NFC side of things, you've got Dallas at 7-5. You've got Philadelphia still hanging strong 6-6, as is the Washington Redskins at 6-6, and the New York Giants at 4-8. Up north, you've got Chicago 8-4, Minnesota 6-5-1, Green Bay 4-7-1. They fired their head coach Mike McCarthy this week, and they also fired one of their other assistants who was essentially questioning the toughness and the leadership of Aaron Rodgers, and so they fired him. And I get it. And Detroit 4-8. Down south, you've got New Orleans 10-2, the Carolina Panthers 6-6, Tampa Bay 5-7, and the Atlanta Falcons at 4-8. And finally, out west, you've got the Los Angeles Rams 11-1, the Seattle Seahawks 7-5, the 7-5, the Arizona Cardinals 3-9, and the San Francisco 49ers at 2-10. So that is your NFL fix for the week. One very quick thing that I wanted to mention before we wrap up was the passing away of two amazing legends in WWE. One was the Dynamite Kid. The other day, he died on his 60th birthday. So really sad to see him go. He was a technical wizard. He knew what he was doing in the ring. Just go on to the WWE Network, watch some of his matches. It's really, really incredible. And then finally, just overnight, we lost Larry the Axe Hennig, dad of Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect. And it was really sad because, I didn't see too much of Larry the Axe Hennig, but I mean, again, legend, absolute legend. All right, folks. Well, that is the show for this week. Again, it will not be back until 2 weeks from now, but again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you to all of our servicemen and women, especially those who served in World War II. Today is Pearl Harbor Day, so thank you. Seriously, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for your service. So, until we see each other 2 weeks from today for our year-end show, where we're going to talk about TLC in the wrestling portion, and then we're going to do the 2018 Bestie Awards. But until then, this is Russell Wortham, and as always, just like the Beatles saying all those many years ago, love is all you need. I will see you guys later.